All right, everybody. Let's try this again. Let's try this again. This is Tim Locklear. To answer everybody's question, yeah, I started a podcast and then I ended it. I'm sorry. It's completely 100% my fault. I apologize. It's actually not my fault. It's actually the Wi-Fi's fault, but whatever. Yeah, I'm doing it down here in the basement, which is the best place to do stuff from what I hear. Jake Daly and Shane Edwards, you guys can tune in here if you're curious. Jake just asked me a question, can I do it from my computer? You know, Jake, you can do it from your computer, from your phone, from your tablet, anywhere that you have Facebook. So it's really up to you where you do it. It's really none of my business, man. I mean, I don't have any interest in being around you while you're doing what you're doing. Anyway, so I'm going to get right into it tonight. I don't really want to waste a lot of time. There's an article here on CNN News. The title of the article is "Veterans Aren't Always Getting Mental Care When They Urgently Need It." That's the article written by Thomas Burke. I want to read a little bit of it here to you and then discuss it, okay? And what I'm going to do, just for those of you that are interested, I'm going to try to post the link here on my profile. So those of you that are friends with me, you can go ahead and view this article right now. It just went on my profile. So stay on the podcast if you can, but I just posted the link to the article so you can check it out later. It's a CNN article by Thomas Burke, and he's talking about a Marine who returned home from Afghanistan and Iraq to attend Yale Divinity College. Also has done 3 tours in duty, and he was an infantryman. And so he comes back and basically he's discussing how being a student, hey, what's up, Jake? How being a student is difficult in the context of being a veteran. Here's a quote from Burke. This is the particular quote. Again, you guys should go to my profile and read this article from CNN News. The title of the article is "Veterans Aren't Always Getting Mental Care They Urgently Need." So here's a quote from Burke. It said, "It's hard for me to badmouth the VA because there are a lot of good people there who are trying to help and who do care about vets. But a lot of people I talk with do badmouth them." The article goes on to say, "Many Americans who served in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars need mental health care, but they aren't always getting enough from the Department of Veterans Affairs Health Administration, according to the results of congressionally mandated investigation released Wednesday. About 4 million people have served in Iraq and Afghanistan." Holy crap, you guys! That's friggin' bonkers. That's insano. That's insane. So according to this CNN article titled "Veterans Aren't Always Getting the Mental Care They Urgently Need," it says about 4 million people have served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the longest sustained U.S. military operation in history. A disproportionate number have come back with mental health challenges like anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, research shows. I hate that they add that. That's stupid. That's so ridiculous. Research shows. What's up, Dakota? What's up? What's up, Shane? Hey, Kay. Hey, John. Appreciate you guys listening. The number of so according to this article, again, I'm listening to it from CNN. The name of the article is "Veterans Aren't Always Getting the Mental Health Care They Urgently Need." Reports find the number of suicides for veterans of these wars have reached a record. The VA has not always been able to handle this crushing need for services. But when veterans get mental health care from the VA, it is of, quote, "comparable or superior quality," unquote, to the kind of care available elsewhere. According to the news study, nearly half of American veterans who need mental health care don't get it. Also, more than half of those who would benefit from care don't know they need it. The research by National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine found. So that's where this link. Again, if you guys are interested in what article I'm reading from, if you go to my profile, please keep listening to the podcast, by the way. I don't want you to tune out. But you can go to my profile. It's the most recently posted article right there on the top of my news feed there. Not that all of you are following me like I'm something to follow, but the article goes on. Again, this is CNN. The majority of those who could use these services don't know whether they are eligible, don't know how to get these services, and don't know that the VA provides mental health care according to the report. That's, quote, "one of the things the report pointed out that I found the most distressing," unquote, said Louis Celli. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Celli. Louis Celli, the National Director of the American... Oh, here we go. the national director of the American Legion's Veteran Affairs and Rehabilitation Division, which was not involved in the news report. So Shane Edwards here, this is a live broadcast, he added, he says they can never commit to fact, so they have to say research shows just in case. Right? I know. It's like they can't, well, because nowadays, I mean, like I was listening to, I'm going to digress, so if I get too far off, somebody help me say, shut up, Tim, get back to the article, right? But I was listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan, and he was talking to Seth Rogen, and he was talking about, he's terrified of this news, the new technology coming in and like overtaking us and outdoing us and killing us, and, you know, just like Matrix. But he was saying how there's actually this software now that you can say a bunch of words, say words like, my name is Tim Locklear and I eat cake, right? And then this device, this software can essentially change what you say into anything it wants. Like you can, because it I don't know how it works, but according to this news thing I read on the internet, because you know that's right, like you can actually make you say anything. So they can sort of doctor up any words from anybody's speech or anybody's recorded audio, and all of a sudden they're saying things they never actually said, and that it's absolutely indistinguishable from the real thing. Like they would be able to manufacture, like I wrote, you know, let's say I say the sentence, I like cake and I eat it too, right? They would be able to take that sentence and make it say, I eat dogs and kill babies also. You know, like I'm not saying I say that, but then, you know, professionals would be able to sit down with headphones and be able to not tell. That's how advanced this supposed software is that Joe Rogan was talking about. So that all correlates back to what Shane was saying, how they never want to commit to fact, right? They can never actually say things are right or correct. Okay, I'm going to digress back to what Dakota said. Dakota said, again, we're on a live broadcast. We're talking about an article on CNN called Veteran. The name of the article is Veterans Aren't Always Getting the Mental Health Care They Urgently Need. It's not the only article we're going to talk about, but it's just the first one I came up with. Dakota Moore added on the live broadcast, he said, I am on the waiting list for anger management since I was locked up in the psych ward in 2009. Well, that's dumb, Dakota. That's dumb. That's dumb. Okay. All right, guys, check it out. Dakota, I'm going to chat with you for a second. Here it goes. Let me encourage you, wherever you live, to contact your local VA. Just call the 800 number, the front desk, and say, I'd like to talk to a social worker, right? Talk to the social. Now, I don't know what state or city you live in, homie. I forget because I'm bad with memory. But you call your social worker and you let them know, I would like to talk to for me in Omaha, it's the 8th floor, but I'd like to talk to someone about okay, Denver, cool. I got people that I know in Denver that work at the VA there. In fact, there's a guy that I knew that just came out of inpatient treatment, and he might know some people on the floor there. But you and I can talk after the broadcast. I might not be able to talk tonight more, but we can like have a phone call tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, because I really want to help you. Because what I'm finding is that a lot of vets that are on waiting lists, if they push around enough and they get to the right way with the right amount of honey and with the right amount of right amount of honey, right amount of vinegar, right amount of placement, right amount of pressure, you can get what you need. You know, win friends, influence people, get doctors to give you the things you want and need. Also, that's ridiculous. I understand that. I've heard that from more people than I know, that because of the medicine they use, that they're being discriminated against at the VA. I don't want to go too far. I don't want to digress, but I think it's absolutely terrible, Dakota. You should get access to it. And it makes me feel like a pile of crap because I've had access to it for months and I've not gone because of my PTSD. It keeps me locked in the house. I hate going to the VA. Blah, 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 blah. I should stop complaining because there's a lot of guys who want it and can't get it. So anyway, I digress totally. Back to this article. Check it out. If you guys are on my personal profile, I just posted this article. It's called CNN, Veterans Aren't Always Getting the Mental Health Care They Urgently Need. So I'm a little bit ways down the article, and I'm on the subject here. We're talking about Seth Robbins. This is one of the, I think he's a veteran here. Okay, that's what helped Seth Robbins. An Army veteran who's stationed predominantly in Korea, the 40-year-old has gotten his health care through the VA for more than a decade, but he sought help for anxiety and only after his wife gave him an ultimatum. Quote, as soldiers and sailors, Marines and airmen, we are taught to suck it up and drive on. We heard that on a regular basis, and it gets in your head, Robbins says, unquote. He also hesitated to seek treatment because he had concerns that were shared by veterans in the report, right? Get this. For instance, Robbins worried, and this is for real right here, okay? I don't know when this article was released. I think it's actually brand new, like February 2nd or 1st. Okay, so just a couple, 10 days ago. So he goes, for instance, Robbins was worried that his rifles would be taken away if he talked about his anxiety. Ha! Quote, there's also the stigma or the feeling that something is broken and I'm not normal or that they'll lock you up, unquote. He said, quote, but I've got a job and a family to support and a house. The VA has helped him to get a place where he can manage. Dude, that sucks. That sucks. That's bad, right? Veterans should not feel that they're going to be discriminated against or treated poorly, right? Just because they're coming to get help. Just because they're coming to get help. The article goes on to say veterans also find that the VA's appointment system is burdensome and unsatisfying, the report said. According to the report said. Oh, God. I hate CNN news. I hate news. I just hate news in general. I hate the idea that I'm reading this news thing, but it helps promote good thinking. It helps us dissect things better, I guess. Robbins agrees, and he says luckily his father, a Vietnam veteran, showed him how to navigate the system. He also feels lucky to have a federal job that gives him the freedom to go to appointments that can take out of his day. Yeah, that's a big deal. Boo, right there. There's two subjects. Okay, first of all, getting through the VA system alone sucks. Not knowing what to do sucks. Not knowing how to get to where you're needing to go sucks. I got a wife that's amazing. She's amazing. She's amazing. She helps me take care of stuff, and that's good. But a lot of guys don't, and that sucks, dude. This guy here had his dad, who'd gone through the VA, knew what to do. But then the other thing here is that he's also apparently got a job with the federal government, which is fine and good. A lot of people don't. But this guy's got the freedom to go to appointments. I got a really good veteran friend right now who's having to sometimes choose between pay or going to the appointments the VA wants him to go to. Again, we're on a live broadcast here today, guys. If you got more information, if you would like more information about the local advocacy work that we're doing here in Omaha, visit BorisTheServiceDog.com or go to VeteransForNaturalRights.org. That's the national organization that's trying to help veterans gain information, data, safe resources, good medicine, fellowship, camaraderie, getting your head out of your butt. So I want to add something. Shane Edwards added on a live broadcast here. He said, when I first started going, I was terrified that they would take my kids away if I told them about my thoughts. And Dakota said truth. That's terrifying, dude. Because that's what's keeping people from getting real health care, guys. I'm serious. And furthermore, they should allow for that. Dakota, by the way, Dakota said that these jobs should allow for the Family Medical Leave Act. They should. They should, but I don't know if you guys know, but I'm going to the VA, man. If I did all they said they wanted me to do, I could be there 6 times a week. 6 times a week is a full-time job or more. I'm not complaining about getting access to care because, see, that's the difficulty, right? You got veterans not able to get access to treatment, but then you got other veterans who can't get to treatment because of their jobs. Who really, in my opinion, a large majority of them should be disabled. A large majority of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans who saw active combat should be disabled right now. And if you don't disagree with me, that's all right. I'm not saying you should sit around on your ass and not work. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that you should not be burdened by having to do the thing that normal, untainted people can do, right? And I say untainted by non-combat folk. Non-combat folk with non-PTSD or anxiety or traumatic brain injury or combat experience or exposure to disgusting, horrible things, right? Those people do. They get up, they go to the job, and they come home. They get up, they go to the job, and they come home. Now, I happen to be a radical hippie lunatic that thinks that maybe that's a system and a wheel and they're just a gerbil. That's just me, I'm a lunatic. But let's remove the lunacy from me for just a minute and let's just talk about this. There's a lot of dudes with undiagnosed PTSD who, because of stigmas and their ego, continue to work a 9-to-5 that is literally killing them. And when they start to have so many problems that it's becoming an issue at home and they're becoming an issue at work and they're drinking, then they start taking pills. And that's when it gets even worse, friends. That's when it gets even worse and grosser. So they're stuck on a wheel. They're stuck. They don't know what to do, man. So the article here, the CNN Health article, the title is Veterans Aren't Always Getting the Mental Care They Urgently Need, Reports Find. It says here he's had help from his dad to get through the VA. He's had help from friends he's got all this support, and that's great. But like Dakota Moore just said here, we're on a live broadcast. Dakota added some thoughts here. He said, being broken sucks. Some people replace help with too much work. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I did the same thing, dude. I did the same thing. All right, I'm going to digress a minute. You guys got to pull me back to the article if I get too off course here. But when I first came back, well, not when I first came back, but one of the things I did when I was trying to readjust is I got a job with a company. I'm not going to say the name because, you know, I think they're pretty terrible. But I got a job with a company, and one of the things we did, I was a manager. I started out as just a normal employee, then I became a manager, like a shift manager, and then I became a store manager, and I was just Billy Badass, man. I was working and working and working. I was bringing work home with me. I was helping manage 2 different store locations, and this whole thing, man, it was a whole thing. And I was just pouring my everything into this job, what I thought was going to be a career, and these people, they didn't give a crap about me. I was a glorified clerk with a special badge. That's all I was. I mean, I got paid decent, and it was probably good money, and I could have probably done it my whole life. A lot of the people did. It was gross. The ones that did it, they didn't look well at all. They looked kind of like big, gray, greasy. Ugh. Anyway, the point is, I digress too much. See, I keep going off the course here. I did that as a means of escapism. Absolutely escaping from my symptoms of my currently undiagnosed PTSD. I wasn't going to treatment. I wasn't going to therapy. I was the man. I wasn't sleeping. I was sleeping when I took sleeping pills a lot. And I wasn't really waking up a bunch, except for when I woke up and took a bunch of caffeine pills or 5-hour energies after over and over and over again, or monster after monster after monster after monster after monster. And my eating habits, oh my God, I would eat like an animal. Just eating and eating and eating and eating and working and eating, and I was gone all the time, non-stop, incessantly. I would wake up at like 4:30 in the morning, go and help open the store, come back, and maybe for lunch, maybe for dinner, and then be at home on my computer doing working, scheduling, talking to people, taking calls, go to bed 9:30, 10 o'clock, wake up a dozen times at night because I wasn't sleeping at all, unless I took drugs, which put me to sleep too late, so I couldn't wake up at 4. So I just literally tossed and turned for 3.5, 4 hours, and then woke up, and then went back to work again. And why did I do that, you guys? I've never had anybody telling me that. Nobody gave me any kind of onus that that was what I was supposed to do. No one told me that that was what I should do. No one gave me this mission. Nobody. Nobody. Nobody told me anything. I just did it on my own. I was all solo. And no matter what I tried, no matter how I tried, no matter how long I worked for it, I couldn't feel good. I couldn't feel better. I couldn't feel, I don't know. I didn't feel like I could really communicate at all in any way what I was trying to say. What I was trying to say was that, like, I need fulfillment. Dakota said it live here. He just said, we need a mission to focus on to keep our demons quiet. Hey, I got an idea, you guys. This is going to get crazy here for a second. What if we just, like, what if we didn't do that? Like, what if we instead like got rid of the demons, you know? What if that happened? What if we could do that? That seems crazy, I know. But what if that was something we could actually do? Like I don't know. That's crazy, and I don't want to digress too much. I want to go back to this article, and it's all Shane's fault that I got off course this far. The American Legion's Shelley, however you say her name, said that along with the new report, he thinks it's a he, not a she. He thinks it's important to note that the system has improved amid the extra scrutiny of the agency over the past several years. Robbins, for one, has noticed a change in 15 years. A vast improvement. No kidding, a vast improvement. So again, we're on this live broadcast, and Dakota said, I have fallen through the system on the mental health side and physical health side. A great support system and access to civilian medical care helps too. I am a firm believer in medical marijuana and can't wait till the VA sees the benefit. Okay, I totally agree, man. The times that I've had in the states where it's legal, I have seen the personal benefit of the using of that substance. Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the quotes here on this article, again, we're on the CNN article. The title is Veterans Aren't Always Getting the Mental Health Care They Urgently Need. We are not VA cheerleaders. Quote, this is a quote here. Quote, we are not VA cheerleaders, but we do work with them every day to make sure they do rise to the occasion and take care of veterans, he said. We've seen the progress, and we hope more veterans will seek out this care. Yeah, so, wait, who's a jerk? Oh, Shane's a jerk. We were on a live broadcast, and Shane just said, he's a jerk. And I was like, so basically, the American Legion stance is that, the VA is not all that bad, and I agree. I tend to agree. I'm one of the ones that isn't going to poop on them too hardcore. I'm not going to give them too much of a bad rap, because they do a lot of really good things. They do. But the problem is, and it's a big problem, is that there's that hole. There's that hole of veterans who are between, 22 and 38-ish, who have been working job after job after job after job, who have diagnosed or hardly diagnosed or undiagnosed PTSD, maybe traumatic brain injury, combat trauma experience, things aren't going well, maybe over-medicated or under-medicated, not thinking well, on pills, off pills, not getting any sleep, not functioning well, all that stuff. And then you talk about there's now a financial connection. There's now a financial connection to your mental health care. Because now you have to juxtapose your job up against your wellness. You have to. If you work a regular job, they're not going to be all right with you leaving all the freaking time to go to healthcare appointments. They're not. They're not. It doesn't matter about the FMLA, the Family Medical Leave Act. It doesn't. They're not going to, especially in states where it's an at-will employment, meaning they don't have to give you a reason to fire you. They'll fire you. And you know they will. Or at least I know they will. And then you could say, oh, well, you do lawsuit. Okay, well, okay. I don't know if that's right or not. I don't know if that's right or not. I'm not sure if I agree. I'm not sure if that's right. So the next article I'm going to move on with, guys, it's actually Crazy Town. Like, I know that this may not seem interesting to you guys, but I don't know if you saw this, but earlier today, there was a 7.2 magnitude earthquake. I want to talk about that, but I want to Dakota. We're on a live broadcast here. He just made a comment. I want to make sure we're addressing it. He said the VA Denver new hospital is 5 years, $3 billion over so far. It will have larger conference rooms, smaller and less treatment rooms. The VA wraps itself in red tape. $3 billion could have provided so much help, not lawsuits. In an at-will, no lawsuits in an at-will states. Absolutely, yeah, I agree completely. And I hate to talk so much about the VA because maybe some people might get sort of, feel like they're being inundated. But it's something to think about, man. If we don't have any other options to get our treatment and health care, then we're going to talk a lot about it. Okay, it's just going to be something that you're going to hear about. Okay, so just suck it up and deal with it, and maybe do some Googling, damn it, because it's important. There's people dying every single day, and we're not joking about that issue. This isn't something that just deserves passivity, okay? We got to be really upfront about that. So I'm going to go on. I'm going to keep moving forward. And I'm going to post this article here. I know that a lot of people don't really give a crap about the news. And I don't either, really, by and large. I think, by and large, the news is pretty dumb. Like, I think pretty terrible, pretty dumb, kind of bad news, whatever. So on my news feed now, I just posted, it's the most recent article right on the top. It's about this earthquake in Mexico. 2 killed in chopper crash, Mexico. Okay, I'm going to go back to the article here. I'm going to read this. The video of this stuff is insane. I watched some of these videos. Like, I'm not going to play it right now because it's not going to transfer over to audio and I'm going to look like an idiot. But you guys should check it out. It's pretty crazy, pretty wild. And the numbers of people that have been hurt, I'm going to read some of the article here. Mexico City Civil Protection said no major damage was reported, but two people were killed after a military helicopter carrying land were surveying or damaged. Murat escaped injury, but 2 people on the ground were killed. So the reason that earthquakes are important and the reason this particular earthquake is important, like, Tim, why the heck does that matter? We were just talking about something like VA healthcare, and why does this even matter? I've been reading a lot about fracking. I know, guys. Get the tinfoil hats out, right? I actually used to do some work in the oil field through a family, and it was crazy because of the money and the people that were there. But then I started reading Like, the quake was 15 miles deep, and they said that there were 59 aftershocks, and over 300 people, including school children, died from a powerful earthquake. Man, that's crazy. Like, we live in a world where we see that doing a thing will literally destroy the earth, that doing a thing has been proven to hurt the earth, and we just keep doing it. And we call it good, right? And you know what? I think that way. I feel that way. How terrible that is. You shouldn't do that, blah, 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 blah. But then, to be honest, I need gasoline. I use gasoline in my vehicle, you know? And I like gasoline. And I like natural gas, too. So it's like, I wonder if I'm a hypocrite for complaining about it. I know it's all about money. Jake Daly added on a live broadcast. He said money, money, money. That's it. I agree completely. It's all about money. I understand that. But at what point are we going to say, as a community, whether it be veterans, civilians, or something different, or other people, at what point are we going to say this is enough? We're not going to do this anymore. Why is it that the people that want to go out and live in the middle of nowhere are the lunatics and maniacs? Why are they considered the outliers? Why? Why is it that the ones that live in the crappiest parts of the biggest parts of a conglomerate is considered to be, high living? If you live in Omaha, it's, West Omaha people. I go out and I eat at the Trader Joe's, or not eat at the Trader Joe's, I get groceries there. And I go in and I'm just disgusted by all these things. It's so nasty. These people are so, oh my gosh. It's so selfish. It's so vain. You're so vain. You probably think there's some. It's totally a vain. It is a thing, man. Because they walk around. I don't know. And like, there's part of me that's like, you're just being a judgmental jerk, Tim. But I don't know. Okay, so again, guys, we're on a live broadcast. I'm just going to do a quick drop. If you guys have want more information about the local advocacy work that we're doing here in Omaha, please visit BorisTheServiceDog.com, or you can also visit VeteransForNaturalRights.org, find out more about that natural stuff, all that stuff helping veterans. Anyway, back on this article on ABC News. I posted it just now on my profile. 7.5 magnitude earthquake rocks Mexico, and there's all these people. It's just like this country is already being torn apart by all kinds of terrible things, and then this kind of stuff happens. And it's happening not just in Mexico, it's happening across the country. All sorts of terrible natural disasters as a result of us not giving a crap about our country. I mean, our universe. I mean, our country, yeah. I mean, look who we voted in. I'm kidding. Nobody freak out. But, I mean, look who we voted in last time, and then the time before that, and then the time before that, and the time before that. So, yeah, Americans care as much about their right to vote as they do about their right to throw their garbage out on the side of the highway. Again, we're on a live broadcast here. I'm going to read some comments. Dakota said, until we find ways to get cheaper alternative sources, we don't really have a choice. Eric said, the majority fears the unknown. I agree with that. Sit down with some natural medicine in a big tent in the middle of the woods. That'll help, Eric, right? Jake added, the companies who have made the biggest impact should be held responsible, right? Right? Why don't we hold those people responsible? Why aren't we having class action lawsuits against frickin' Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin for all the crappy stuff they do? And then also, what's the company? Monsanto, right? And then what's a big company that makes? We could just keep going on and on. Dakota said we will have to find small root companies and go with them and turn our backs against the ones that the government controls. I completely agree. Exxon, thank you, Jake. Jake added that. Jake also said hemp can replace so many unsustainable industries, right? I was just listening to a podcast today where a manufacturer was discussing how you can use hemp to create plastic that is biodegradable, you guys. What kind of world are we living in? Where we're looking at, okay, again, we're talking about an ABC News article here where there was a 7.5 magnitude earthquake in Mexico, and there's natural disasters happening across our continent, and people are just blindly consuming this product as if it has no impact on the earth at all. As if there's no implications about this at all. Like, oh, right, thank you. Again, we're on a live podcast. Nicholas added, he goes, hempcrete. Thank you, hempcrete. That's a perfect example of absolute idiotic stupidity gone awry. And remember, this is the same government, the very same government who's paying us, veterans. So that's a little kind of scary. I don't know. That's me. So if you go to my Facebook news feed, my Facebook profile, it's the most recent article posted on there. It's from ABC News talking about this terrible earthquake that hit, and apparently there was also a helicopter crash. But it says here how loose soil beneath Mexico can make an earthquake more severe. So I mean, again, it's less about Mexico, but like our entire continent, the roads could be paved with hemp. Our entire continent is just in a major deficit, man. It's in a major deficit. It really is. We're lacking so much. Shut up, Nick Evans. We're on a live podcast again, and Nick keeps adding his thoughts here, and he said that helicopters could be made out of hemp, and apparently Nick doesn't know what Earth and gravity is. I'm kidding. So I'm going to move on from there. If you take anything from what I'm telling you, it's that you got to take care of the Earth. You got to give a crap. You can't just be a tree hugger, right? I mean, that's okay to be a tree hugger for being, but you can't just do that. You can't. Why can't you? Well, you can't because it's wrong. Because it's hypocritical. You can't complain about other things, right? You can't complain about other things that have like the VA sucks, or we need social reform, or legalize this plant, or do this, that thing, or make that other thing there, and then also crap on our Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like literally crap on our Earth in a bad way, not in a good way. Because crap is good. I believe in good human manure compost. All plants do matter. I guess you do kind of have to be a tree hugger to a degree. So I digress. I'm going to talk a little bit more about other things. If you've been listening live, I really appreciate it. You guys are great. I'm going to post this now, this article here called this guy named Han Yu wins the 1,000 Olympic Winter Games gold medal event. Okay. I absolutely am not interested in the Olympic sports in any way. Okay. Also, I want to go back. God, I love Shane Edwards so much. He reminded me of something, and I got to go back to it. Okay, we're going to get to the... I just posted the article, so go take a look at it. It's on my news feed, or my profile, most recent article posted there. I'm going to go back to what Shane Edwards... We're on a live broadcast, and Shane added, there's an entire island made up of only plastic trash the size of Long Island. You know, I was listening to a podcast. I listen to a lot of those because it helps my brain function. But one of the things they were saying is they were trying to disprove that. They were trying to say, Joey Diaz was trying to say, that's garbage, man, that's garbage. And I mean, obviously it was a pun and it was a play on words, but he was saying it wasn't true. And then Brian Redband went out and then he Googled it and posted the link up, and I went and looked at it. It's insane. You guys got to look up photos of these things. I will go try to find some photos right now and put them up. If somebody finds the photos and the links, find them sooner. But this trash island is amazing. Like that we live in a world where these kinds of things, yeah, here it is, that we live in a world where these kinds of things can happen, like floating trash islands, can be something that's so common, so regular and normal that it's I can just literally just sit here and Google search it and it's right there, right? Yeah, there it is. That's nasty. Ugh, yeah. Let's just move there, you guys. That sounds fun, right? Let's just let's go build like a big, like a hut, you think, Nick, or what? I think we could do that. Just build like a nice little sun hut. Yeah, and that trash is so big that it's floating to other continents, right? And Jake Daly just added, he said trash has reached Antarctica. So I just posted a photo on my profile, the most recent one. That's a screenshot there of the floating trash island. Oh my God, it's so disgusting. Imagine the animals that are stuck in that thing, right? Imagine the creatures, the poor things that have died as a result of being stuck in that thing. Like, that's got to be just so bad for so many different... I mean, like, do you think that there are people that... Like, do you think there's creatures and animals that have actually died as a result? Like, a whole species has died off as a result of these... disgusting like trash islands? I think that it's got to be. Like, to some degree, we've got to assume that this has got to have some sort of major ecological impact on life as we know it, right? We can't just think, I mean, like, because there's things that have, I mean, there's things that people did, 5,000 years ago that impacted us today, that impacts our Earth today and the way our Earth is today. But at the same time, we don't know what our actions are, and we don't know what our actions are going to impact. We don't know how our little drop in the water is going to impact so many other people. And we're on a live broadcast again, Jake and Dakota. Jake said there is mass extinction going on. Oh my God, that's terrible. Dakota said there's a kid that has made up a ship that takes plastic and recycles it. Companies should invest in it too. I like Jake's direction of this, dude. Dakota, that's absolutely amazing. I'm gonna actually look that up. That's a good point. I remember seeing that. It's a boat that turns trash into basically into like a, yeah, there it is, turning plastic bottles into boats. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I'll put that up here. There's, and the more you look around at this kind of stuff, it's everywhere. It's prevalent. Like, these people are using all sorts of different resources. Like, when you go to these huts, like, I was watching a Vice thing about this guy that goes and does these crazy things and goes and finds crazy tribes in the middle of the Amazon. But there's these houses up on huts, up on like these platforms, and these people, these like naturalized people, like these people who've been here for centuries, they take and they use a lot of this garbage and trash as a part of their house, as a part of their living. It's so crazy. So yeah, on my profile, I've posted an article just recently. Well, the last thing I posted was that Google image of the trash island that's there, right? Which is insane. And then the next link I posted on my profile was the turning plastic bottle waste into boats. That's amazing. This video is really, I'm watching it right now, and they just go around and in the beaches of Kenya, and these people collect up all of these massive bottles as they have them, and then they basically melt them down and convert them into these big buoys that are floating on either side. That's crazy how they're making these things. And, we're on a live broadcast again. If you're listening, I appreciate it. Please visit BorisTheServiceDog.com to find out more about the advocacy work that we do here in Omaha, or visit VeteransForNaturalRights.org about the national stuff that we're trying to do to help veterans wake up. Anyway, back to the broadcast here. Jake said plastics can be recycled for 3D printers. That's absolutely true. Nick said there's a guy in Nepal who's building glaciers with these crazy pipes that are buried and release water and freezes. It's nuts. He says it's nuts, you guys. It's nuts. It's crazy. Jake said, we just need to stop the production of plastic. I agree. Shane said they're using plastic bottles to act as AC in huts in Africa. Yep. And then Nick added there's an exhibit of plastic made into animals here in Omaha at Lauritsen Gardens. So, I mean, this is disgusting. This is gross, right? I mean, what we're looking at really is the disgusting habits of humans, but a lot of them, mostly Americans, but it's definitely humans. It's gross. It's gross. So I'm gonna move on. Although we can keep talking about this all night, I'm gonna move on. Everybody talk about bread and circuses. Everybody talk about bread and circuses. Okay, so one of the things I posted was about the Olympic Games. I consider myself to be somewhat of a wannabe athlete, meaning I really do. I want to get better with my body. I want to see myself be able to have the agility like I had before, even when I was in the Army, and be able to move and communicate better and know my body in a way that I can overcome and fight some of these problems and issues. And so I used to just completely dismiss all sports altogether because they're garbage, in my opinion. Just garbage. I hated them all. Stupid. But the more I started to research games and sports, because I love jiu-jitsu. I'm in love with jiu-jitsu. Oh my God, I love jiu-jitsu. I love those things. Jiu-jitsu is amazing. I love jiu-jitsu. It's amazing what it's done for me. I'm not going to go on anymore about it. So but it's a sport, right? It is. And it is totally a sport. And so I can make it sporty and fun, and I can have fun with it. And then I started to look at, well, what makes a sport good? What makes it bad? What makes a person who does the sport good or bad? Is it how good they are? Like, are they just good at the sport? Or are they overall good athletes? Like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, what makes them good or bad? So go to my profile, go to the second thing or third thing posted. It's about this guy named Hanyu, right? Hanyu, I think it's called. I don't know how to say his name. He wins the 1,000th Olympic Winter Games gold medal event. His name is I'm going to spell this, Yuzuruh. Okay, that's his first name. And then his next name is Hanyu, Hanyu. He's from Japan, and he wrote his name in the record books on Saturday, September 17th, when he won the men's figure skating title in a name that I can't remember. I can't even pronounce that. Pyeongchang? Oh my God, I'm so idiotic. Pyongchang. My goodness. Imagine people trying to come to Paducah, Kentucky and spell that. So I guess I shouldn't talk too much trash about the names in Japan. Regardless, he became the 1,000th medal event winner in the history of the Olympic Winter Games. The article goes on to say the landmark comes a little over 94 years after the very first Olympic Winter Games. Gold medal was awarded to the USA's Charles Jutrah. Wow. These people are amazing, okay? That's the point here. These people are machines, a lot of them. They're functioning on all cylinders and more. It's like they've got nitrous built in or something, right? It's insane. If you keep reading on in the article, it talks about the work that these people do to get to where they're going, the amount of stress. You've got to Google and research some of the stuff. It's intense. It's intense. And so, you know, I'm a stupid lunatic freak for Tim Ferriss. I think he's amazing. I think he's a stupendous dude, and I think he's got a lot of things cornered. He's got the market on a lot of things. There's a reason he's a millionaire, and he deserves every friggin' dollar of it. He's busted his ass from time zero, and he's amazing. He's somebody I definitely want to emulate. But he talks a lot about sports and medicine and thinking rightly and eating rightly, and how he talks intensely about how your gut health reflects your mental health. And so if you have appropriate diet and appropriate biology in your stomach, your situation up in your noggin is going to be a lot better, right? And that has implications in other ways, like what you eat has implications on your muscle strength and how you work out and how you can move and how you can do all those things. And that's amazing research. And if you've got PTSD, you just ordered takeout. Shut up, Shane. I'm on a live broadcast and Shane's being a dummy. He just said, you just ordered takeout. I wish I ordered takeout. Man, I could murder some pizza right now, but I'm not going to, because my wife went today and went to Costco. All praises to my wife. Thank you. She's an amazing person. She went to Costco on her freaking own, you guys. I mean, not on her own. She had a friend with her, and she took my second oldest daughter. But holy cow, Costco is like, it's not terrible. It's not atrocious. But man, I don't like it a bunch sometimes. But I do. I love what I get there. It's great. But it's just like, man, sometimes I wish they could make that whole situation just a little bit easier to handle. Just a little bit easier to manage, you know? It's like, I wonder how much they take. Costco is takeout on steroids. You know, and I'll say that, it's funny, but, you know, they have actually really good food at that front counter. I know it's not food at all. There's nothing about it that was ever food, I don't think. But that little chicken wrap thing they've got, it's all right. It's all right. I like it. I know that makes me a garbage palate person. But yeah, it's all right. So, back to this guy, Hanyu. He's amazing. You should Google his name. He's done so much in such a short period of time. Like, I just don't feel like somebody can do as much as this guy's done and just be a normal human being. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody, like, he's got to be, he's like an animal. You know, he's like an animal. If you Google pictures of this guy, it's hilarious because he looks exceptionally effeminate. And I have to laugh at that because it's funny. And if you don't think that's funny, you don't like freshly pressed sounds, and that's all right. But it's funny to me because dude looks exceptionally effeminate. And it's hilarious. You just can't get around it, how funny it looks. and he's doing the figure skating thing, but he's still an athlete. He's still somebody who's like way more fit than I am in any way, shape, and form. But we're on that live broadcast thing, and Nicholas Adams Evans said, "Adam Rippin, Google it." You know what? I'm not. You're not my boss. I'm not your dad, Nick, and that's not something you can make me do. So you can't make me do that. But I will Google it. I promise. I'll check it out. So there, on my profile, I just now posted a picture. You guys should go check it out. It's a screenshot of this guy Yuzuru Hanyu. It's hilarious. This middle one is my favorite. The one where he's just like screaming. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. I'll make sure you guys see it. But anyway, I digress. This guy's an athlete. He's an athlete, and I would dismiss him because of the way he looks. But I still think he's hilarious. Shane and Nick, I just tagged you in that picture there, so you guys can see it. I want to make sure that we're not being discriminatory against athletes who actually can work hard, really hard. They can actually do hard things, harder than I could ever do. Like, I don't have the stamina to do figure skating. I don't even really know how to ice skate all that well. It's just the idea of rolling on ice skates doesn't sound very good. So again, we were just talking about bread and circuses. Speaking of bread and circuses, that was a comment that was made earlier by my buddy Jake Daly, and I want to go back to that, dude. I think it's absolutely stupid. I think Olympic sports are great, but what it's turned into and what it is now is just, it's NFL, man. It's NFL. It's the NBA. It's baseball. It's just pro sports is what it's turned into, which is unfortunate because some of these people that are taking part in this stuff are amazing, dude. They're amazing. They're like I said, they're machine. They're human machines. They're like beast modes, right? But at the same time, it's like, man, let's get you guys into something that means something instead of what it is. This here thing is dumb. Whatever. Whatever. We're talking about the Olympic sports. So. Moving on. This is going to be the more difficult, unfun part here. I'm gonna put up an article right now. I guess I wanted to stay away from this discussion at all. The discussion of gun violence and all that stuff. It's something I want to stay away from. You know what I mean? I don't like the discussion because it's so wrought with garbage. It's so wrought with anger. It's so filled with vitriol and emotion that I try to stay away from it as often as I can. But we're going to talk about it tonight. So on my profile right now, I just posted an article saying it's the title of the article is by BBC. Florida survivors demand gun control. Florida survivors demand gun control, and I am not into this emotionally floored, charged kind of conversation. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. There's way too many left and right about it. There's way too many up and down. There's way too many sides and aspects and elements. But I think it's important that you guys understand on Tim Locklear's podcast, these are freshly pressed sounds. These are nutritious audio tracks, and here's what they are. I own a firearm. I own several firearms, and I don't think that that's bad. Okay? So I think that just needs to be said before I read this article and before we keep talking about this. I've been trying to stay neutral on this subject. I really have. But it's important that I'm not neutral in every aspect. So I do own firearms, and I do believe it's good that responsible, logical people do own those firearms. I do believe that. So that's a problem. That's all right. We can chat. I want to have that dialogue. Maybe not here, maybe not right now. Let's have a open debate sometime if you want to. Moving on. The article on my if you go to my profile, it's you can actually go to timothylocklear.com. It'll actually just forward you to my Facebook profile, or you can just go to facebook.com/timothylocklear. It'll take you there. You're on my podcast, so you see my profile. The link, the article again, the name of the article is called Florida Survivors Demand Gun Control. So the article starts out, protesters in Fort Lauderdale chanted, "Shame on you," referring to U.S. lawmakers and President Donald Trump. He said last year he would, quote, never, unquote, infringe on the right to bear arms. Suspect Nicholas Cruz is admitting to carrying out attacks at the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland in which 17 people died. It was the deadly. This is the article I'm quoting here. It was the deadliest U.S. shooting since 2012, and he has reignited long-running debates about tougher firearms restrictions. In his first public comments on the gun control issue since the attack, Mr. Trump blamed the Democrats for not passing legislation when they controlled Congress during the earlier years of Barack Obama's administration. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. 17 human beings are no longer living on the earth, and Donald Trump is making this about politics. What a crappy thing to do and say. Again, I try not to get into the politics of things. I really hate political discussions. And if you go to my profile, you're not going to see political things because I don't think they're beneficial. And if they are, they're mocking it because I think it's a show. I think it's garbage. I think the two-party system is flawed. It's idiotic. But 17 human beings aren't living anymore, so there's something we need to do about it or talk about it or discuss it. We can't just ignore it. We can't just fluff over it. We have to have a conversation about it. But we don't have to get all emotional and stupid. So what happened at Saturday's rally? Again, the article I posted, it's a BBC News article. The title is that Florida survivors demand gun control. And so the article goes on to say what happened at Saturday's rally. Students and their parents, as well as politicians, took part in the event in Fort Lauderdale, close to Parkland. Thousands of people attended, according to the Associated Press. Arguably, the most memorable moment came when the high school student Emma Gonzalez took to the podium and attacked the U.S. president and other politicians for accepting political donations from the NRA and powerful gun right lobbyists. She said, quote, "If the president wants to come up to me and tell me to my face that it was terrible tragedy and how nothing is going to be done about it, I'm going to happily ask him how much money he received from the NRA." This is Mrs. Gonzalez. She goes on to say, "It doesn't matter because I already know $30 million, the 18-year-old said." Boy, BBC just threw that one in there. The 18-year-old said, referring to donations during Mr. Trump's presidential campaign. She goes on to say, "To every politician who's taking donations from the NRA, shame on you." Mrs. Gonzalez, she took cover on the floor of her secondary school's auditorium during the attack. So she was a part of the attack, Mrs. Gonzalez was, apparently. They go on to say, responding to her passionate speech, the crowd started chanting, "Shame on you, shame on you." According to the Center for Responsive Politics, the NRA spent $11.4 million supporting Mr. Trump in the 2016 campaign and $19.7 million opposing Hillary Clinton. Hashtag why I hate talking about politics. Because it's fueled. There's so many different angles, you guys. You can't just be pro this or anti that. You can't anymore, I think. It's just so stupid. If you are interested in what article I'm reading, you can go to my profile. The most recent article posted was the BBC News article talking about the attacks on this high school. And it's basically talking about how it's the deadliest U.S. shooting since 2012. It's just terrible. The article says Ryan Deitch, who was among those hiding in the school toilet during the attack, urged lawmakers to pass more restrictive measures on gun ownership. Quote, "The least lawmakers can do is vote on something. What's the worst that can happen?" the 18-year-old said. There it is again, BBC kind of slapping that word around a little bit. Protesters also had placards that read, "No more guns" and "Enough." Quote, "Because of these gun laws, people I love have died," said Delaney Tarr, a 17-year-old student. Where's the common sense in that? People are dying every day. So the article goes on, and I'm going to pause for a minute here. But, I mean, we're on a live broadcast here, and Shane Edwards added in. He said, since the NRA member is out killing people. Oh, yeah, I got what you're saying. So Shane is basically saying there's not any NRA members out there killing people, which who knows? I don't know. I hope they're not. I don't know. And I want you guys to know, this is something you guys may not know about me. I was an NRA certified firearms instructor. And I used to carry a firearm with me everywhere I went. And I used to work a job, private security, that facilitated me carrying a firearm for work every day. And so I carried a firearm with me a lot, an awful lot. And I would carry a gun with me 24 hours a day, man. And I didn't see anything wrong with it. I had a safe in my car, a safe in my house, a safe in my kitchen, safe by my bed. I had a couple pistols, a couple AR-15s, shotguns. I thought that was just okay. I mean, I'm not saying it's not okay. Oh my God, everybody don't freak out. I'm not saying it's not okay. I'm just saying I was a gun guy. I was all into everyday carry content. I was into the appendix carry stuff. I had this, I had that. I was very supportive of this. I went to NRA courses. I gave money to the NRA, all this stuff. That was me, for sure. And so I don't think I was wrong to do any of that. I don't. And here's why. I wanted to know more about firearms as a civilian in a safe way. I wanted to learn more about how to be a civilian and also have a firearm. And I wanted to do it in the way that was best provided to me by my country. Right? That's what I wanted. And so I did it. I went out and I bought a, this was a long, long time ago. I was living in Fremont with my wife. And again, just so you guys know real quick, if you're just tuning in, go check out the article on my profile. It's the most recently posted article titled Florida Survivors Demand Gun Control. This is not a political podcast. We're not talking about politics. I'm talking about my wife and I. My wife and I we were living in Fremont, and we wanted to go out shooting, and we went out. I went out to a local pawn shop, and I bought a small, I don't even remember what the name was. It was not a brand name pistol. Jimenez. It was a Jimenez. Jimenez, I think. Jimenez, I believe, what it was. And it was a little 9mm, and it was not a good pistol at all. But it was like, this is fun. This is fun. Like, let's go out. And we did. And we went out. We lived in Fremont. So if you know anything about Omaha, Fremont and Valley, it's all right there. We went out in the middle of a cornfield by a big old aqueduct, and we just shot and had fun. We spent, back then it was only $20 or $30, and we shot all day long and came home with more ammo. It was a blast. It was safe. It was fun. We enjoyed it. And there was never a thought of, now I have a pistol in the house and I'm safe. There was never a thought of that. It was never a concern of that, right? And so now, from there it was, well, let's get a shotgun. We can go bird hunting and we can have fun there. We got that, and that was fun. And then I moved, I've always had guns. I always had them. And then we moved on to, I got stationed up in upstate New York, up in Fort Drum, and that's like up in the Adirondack Mountains in the North Country, and oh goodness, oh my God, I had this really nice little camouflage Mossberg 12 gauge, and it was beat to crap, and it wasn't good, and it wasn't pretty, but man, it was fun. And we would take it and we'd throw it in the back of an ATV, and we'd go cruising around in the middle of nowhere for hours. And right before sundown, we'd take a bunch of clay pigeons out, which are little circular clay discs, and then we'd shoot them. It was so fun. So fun. And all we do is we'd shoot them clay pigeons, and man, it was just amazing. It was just amazing. It was so much fun. So much fun. So that was my experience. And then it was, okay, well, I can buy one of these, and I can actually use it to make a living. Not killing people like a cowboy, but I can make a living. I can do this thing where I carry this gun and I wear this kind of outfit here, and I get some training, and I can go over here and I can actually do this work here. I mean, I'm kind of a stocky dude. I was already in the infantry. I can do this, man. So I did it. That's how I did it. I went out and bought a bunch of gear, got some training, did some research, connected with some police officer friends of mine, and it was good. It was good. So I don't believe that was wrong at all. None of it was wrong. I've only had one interaction where I felt like I needed to draw my firearm when I was carrying it working. And again, I want to be clear, I don't carry one anymore, and I'll go into why I don't carry one anymore for right now. I'll love to explain it to you soon. I was doing security at a private event. There was a bar and a dining facility next to each other, and I was inside the event hall adjacent to the bar, and I was watching the door. I was alone. I was working by myself that night, and I was carrying a firearm, and I was also carrying an M26C taser and handcuffs and mace and a baton and flashlight and all that stuff. I kind of had a whole little gear thing. I emulated a lot of my police officer friends and a lot of the gear they used, and I modulated that for civilian usage, and was able to kind of pull off a semi-professional appearance. Again, never did I pretend to be a police officer, but I definitely got the respect of clients because I had that appearance, right? Anyway, so there was a guy in the party next door, really drunk, touching girls, not supposed to. Somebody said, hey, you need to come over here. I went over there. Dude, what's up? How you doing? He's drunk. He's belligerent. I said, hey, man, listen, I didn't touch him. I didn't touch hands on him. But he was just spilling over people, drunk. He was about to fall into somebody. So he kind of leans over and touches one of the dudes, and I sort of reach my hand out and put my hand on the shoulder. And again, I'm working. You know, I'm working, so I'm carrying all my gear and everything, and I look like I'm working. It's very clear. I got a flashlight in his face. It looks very, I'm killing the vibe for sure. Like there's, you know, boochka, 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 music going. Everybody's inebriated in some way or form or fashion on some element of drug or alcohol or some sort. So, you know, and then he says, you don't effing touch me, pal. And then he reaches out and he puts his hands right on my shoulder. Now, at the time, I wasn't into jiu-jitsu. I was into being a big old fat dude who could push people around pretty well, and I knew how to use the handcuffs real quick. I could get handcuffs on people like that. Like, I was really good at it. I got a really good trick of it, and I was able to do it, and that was the thing. I put him in handcuffs, and I'd set him down so I didn't have to touch him because they smelled bad mostly. So he reached out and he puts it, what, you don't touch me? And he was drunk, you know. So I spun him around, and I tried to have him kind of calm down, and he didn't really calm down, and he didn't make it easy, and he fought, and I didn't want to fight with him, and man, there was a whole bunch of people there, and it was gross, and I didn't want to use mace or baton, and I knew if he started punching, it'd be a brawl, and it'd be gross, and I was trying to avoid that, and ugh, the music was so freaking loud, and nobody even gave a crap, and it sucked, man. That was panic and a half, let me tell you. Finally, I get his butt out, and I say, get out of here, go away before I call the cops. So he goes off and runs off, and F you, blah, 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 blah. Well, 5 minutes later, there's an alarm going off outside. The dude's got a 6-pack of beer, and he's busting beer bottles over somebody's car window. So I go down there to confront him after calling the police and say, hey, there's a guy here. I'm a security guy. I'm private security. Told him the whole deal. They said, don't bother him. I said, well, he's hurting one of my client's vehicles, so I'm going to go detain him. You guys should hurry up and get here before something happens. So I go down there, and I say, hey, man, I have my flashlight out and my hand on my taser. It's a right-handed draw, like a cross draw, because my pistol was on my right side. And so I have a flashlight in his face, and I'm hey, man, come on, let's go. Get out of here. You can't do that. Cops are coming. We're going to put you in handcuffs. You're destroying people's property. You need to be held responsible. Come on, man, let's go. You're on private property. Let's go. Come on. So I walked over to him, and again, the owner of the club is right behind me, and the promoter of the venue's on the other side of him, so they're watching this happen. A couple other people have their cell phones out. This is the whole thing. So I walk up to him, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to tase this guy because he's belligerent. And I've never done that in a real application before at that time, and I was freaking out, man. I was freaking out. And so I come up to him, and I said, hey, dude, you got to stop. And he's wearing a big hoodie and a big jacket. And he was a big guy, too. And I knew he was a veteran in some degree, I think, or some kind of a Billy Badass kind of country guy. And his truck had gun stickers all over it, and so I knew there was a chance maybe he had a gun in some capacity. So then he started to put his hands in his hoodie pocket and then reach his hand down by his hip. And again, I had my very, very bright flashlight right in his face, and my hand was on my taser in its holster, ready to come out. And I said, dude, if you put your hands in your pockets again, I'm going to shoot you with my taser, and then I'm going to come put you in handcuffs after you shit your pants. I said, so you want to not do that, friend? And I was upset, I was raw, I was freaking out, I didn't know what to do, I wasn't ready to go, but I knew that if it happened, I was ready. And then he ran at me, and for just a split second, and he was probably 40, 50 feet from me, I was going to put my hand on my pistol to draw it. For just a split second, I was like, oh no. But then he put his hands out, pulled his hands out of the front of his shirt, and they were open and they were reaching for me. And then I was able to step out of the way, and he fell down and stumbled, and we were able to wrestle him to the ground and put him in handcuffs, and I didn't have to use a taser or anything else. And the cops came right up there, and then they wrestled with him quite a bit, and it wasn't good for him. He had a bad night and went to jail. But, you know, that was a real experience as a civilian, you know, experiencing those kind of deathly weird... That was a situation that definitely caused me to pause in doing my security. From then on, I often would use a protective vest under my shirt, because like a stab vest, like a flak jacket basically, just because I really just put a little bit of body armor, because I felt like there was a concern. And at that point when I got it, I wore it for a couple months, and it was like, you know what, man, this isn't worth it. My contracts aren't worth it. I don't think it's worth it here. I need to stop. And so I did. I stopped doing it, and from then on, I've always had a different view of it, and ever since I was fully diagnosed with PTSD and the TBI issues and all that, you know, it's caused me to pause, you know, and I don't ever want to have myself in a situation where my firearm is more is going to make me feel safer than my own, well, my own mindfulness, I need to be able to feel safe in and of myself without a gun in my hand. I have to. I need that for me. I need to feel safe, because when I was in the Army, that's all I did was, I was a gun carrying guy. Well, I dug holes and burnt crap and sat in a tower, but then I used guns. That was sort of the thing, right? And so I didn't want to do that anymore at all. But for some reason I felt, drawn back to it. So this all has to do with guns. I hate political crap. I think it's stupid. I hate political discussions. I think they're stupid. I already said this before, but I'll say it again. I think the two-party system is flawed and ridiculous and stupid. We're talking about the article from the BBC, talking the Florida, where this mass shooting happened. These people are wanting some kind of response from politics about this problem, from political people. Talking about the guy that did the shooting. This article goes on, and it's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. All this stuff talking about mass shootings. All this stuff talking about these people picking up firearms. It's like I just wonder if we're just beating a dead horse at this point. Now, how does that sound? That sounds insensitive, doesn't it? It sounds, Tim, how could you say that? How could you say that to these families who have lost people? Well, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm not saying I believe in conspiracy theories at all. I just know that I know that there's a lot of people that believe it's all a fake and a facade and a fake and not real. And there's a lot of people that don't get it, that don't agree with it, that don't that don't get it. They don't understand. They're like, well, it's so terrible, it's so bad. The news said it's real, so it's real. And then there's other people that are like, well, the news said it's real, so it's fake. And then there's other people like me that are just like, the news said it. I mean, they said it, okay? They did say that. They said those things. That's true. But I just wonder if it's important that we say it too. You know what I mean? Like, I look through my newsfeed and it's just literally nothing but thing after thing after thing after thing after thing after thing after thing of ridiculous, antiquated, deadbeat arguments that have been going on and round in circles for as long as I can remember, you guys. I'm just looking through my newsfeed right now, and there's just dozens of people who are just, they're just angry. They're just bitter. They're upset. They want everybody to listen to how important they are. They want the opportunity to say how their opinion is the most important, and how what is going on with their situation is the most valid, etc., etc., etc. But the people that I want to listen to, the people that I listen to the most, are the ones who talk the least about themselves. The ones who talk about how much they want to help other people and then do it. You know what I mean? Those kinds of people are the ones that I want to spend the most time around. I want to emulate those kinds of people. So when I look at people who do bad things, who don't coincide with my ethics, morals, values, and opinions or positions necessarily, I don't think that I'm going to just jive with them as well. I don't think that's going to happen. So again, we're on a live broadcast, and Shane Adwards said psychotropic drugs they'll kill you. They kill the humanity in people. Absolutely. Yeah. Pills are bad, man. Pills are bad. Pills they're good, but they're bad. They have a purpose. They have a placement. But again, that's a dead horse. But I wonder, why do I feel guilty? Why does it make me feel guilty to talk over and over again about the same subjects? Maybe because I want to be relevant. I want to try to stay relevant to the situations at hand, what's going on at hand, what people are thinking about. And I don't think that that social media is the best place to do that, all the time. But it can be. It definitely can be. It's just a matter of trying to figure out how that all works for you. Like, you can't look at a very, very terrible situation like these shootings that are happening, the mental health illness, the gun problems, the marijuana issues, the Mr. Sessions, Donald Trump, all the political pundits, all the lefts, all the rights, all these people, man. You just shut them up for a minute. Just get them to be quiet for a second and decide what you think. Decide what you think, how you feel, and make a decision based upon your opinion. And then decide, after making that choice, do I need to say this? Do I need to say this right now? Does this need to be said to these people? Can this wait? Does this need to be said by me? You know what I mean? Like, that's the questions that we have to ask. We should ask those things about what we're doing when we're saying words. It matters. So we can't just get on our stupid Facebook and be idiots about this stuff, guys. We are representing a community of human beings. You people that are listening to these things that I'm saying now, a large majority of you are veterans. And I guarantee you there's somebody on your friends list right now who's a veteran, who is not a veteran, who's looking at your stuff saying, that's what veterans think. Well, I want you to know that Steve Talley and me may not completely agree all the time. Ian Still and I may not agree all the time. Kevin Burke and I may not get along all the time. Joshua Lee and I may have some disagreements. Nick Evans and I may not totally coincide with everything. Dakota and Moore and me may have different opinions about eugenics. Eric Carrasco and me may have just like all sorts of different views about morals and values. Jake Daly may have a different view on farming and ethics in that regard. These people all have different opinions and positions and views, and that's what makes us beautiful. That's what makes us amazing. That's what makes it matter. But when you start touting all of these other disgusting go lines from all these other organizations or groups, you just sound like a parrot, man. You sound like a parrot. You don't sound like somebody individual expressing their opinions and views because they matter. You just sound like somebody who's just saying what everybody else is saying for the sake of saying it, man. And that's dumb. It makes you sound idiotic. It makes you sound foolish. And furthermore, it makes other veterans kind of look stupid too. Because like I said, there's people in your community, in your friends list, who right now, you're the only veteran they know. Right now, when you say something, they will think maybe that's what veterans think, or that's what that veteran thinks. You know? That's what... Because then when they go to talk to somebody else, a lot of times what they're going to say is... Oh, man, I heard a veteran the other day saying, blah, 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 blah. So don't be an idiot when you say stuff, and really make sure that you're not just repeating, you know, the common trend that day. The mantra of the hour, man. Don't just repeat that stuff because that's what you think you're supposed to do, right? You should actually repeat what you believe and agree to, right? And then let that be the thing that is consistent. Because what I see from a lot of guys, unfortunately, is they just jump on the bandwagons. They do. They jump on the bandwagons. They find something to jump on. They find something to go to, something to join, some group to whatever, and then they just spout that group or entity's catchphrase over and over and over and over again, you know? Their mantra over. And so who are you talking about, Tim? I'm talking a little bit about like Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, Christians, atheists, vegans, hunters, sports enthusiasts. All of these people have a similarity in that they don't shut up about their thing. Shut up about your stupid thing. I mean, I know you think your thing is important, but if it's important, say something original. Like if Shane Edwards suddenly gets involved into ice hockey, I hope that the things he says and does about ice hockey are original to Shane Edwards. But not because he's just repeating the rhetoric that he's heard. Because then he's just being brainwashed into a cult, right? To a degree. You're just sort of repeating whatever the cult of personalities at that hour is telling you to repeat. You're just sort of, just repeating it. You're actually, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, or read or anything, the George Orwell books, 1984 and stuff. But it's a pretty good book. You should read it. It's a great, excellent film as well. There's been several film adaptations. But that was their big way of controlling people, was what they said and how they thought. The thought police, They would get people on thought crimes. And So a lot of times when there's these big giant events that go on, a lot of times people will simply repeat what's being said because that's easier, right? That just seems like the easier step. Repeat what everybody else is saying, share the same articles, say the same things. But a lot of times they neglect to really do any kind of like fact checking or back work at all, and then they end up looking really stupid later. Remember that Coney thing, like Coney 2016, 2014, 2012, whatever that was, Coney? You remember that? It took off like crazy wildfire, and then all of a sudden it was just gone. It was just gone, right? And so it's an example of how trends work on the internet. You can't just, I mean, you can, but try not to just swallow up the current day issues. If there's a governmental issue, let it be a governmental issue. Have your opinion about it, and then decide, do I need to say this? Do I need to say this right now? Am I the one that needs to say this? And then do I need to say this to these people? You know, you got to ask those questions, because if you don't, you run the risk of looking really stupid often, unfortunately. Which is a price you pay. You know, I was talking with my buddy Nick Evans. What's up, Nick? About risks. You know, we were talking about like, how do you I forget how the conversation went exactly, but he's basically like, I wish I could speak in this way to those kinds of people. I wish I could do that. And I was like, you can. You just have to be ready. You have to be ready for the outcome. You know, you have to be ready for the results of what that's going to look like, right? Because if you don't, then it's really going to come as a surprise when they come flying out of nowhere. These outcomes, right? That's a lot of times what can happen. You throw out some article that's exceptionally atrocious and swayed one side or the other with no defendable arguments at all, and then you throw it out on the Facebooks, then people start to complain about it, and then you're like, oh, why is everybody getting all butthurt? I'm just sharing my friggin' opinion, you know? But it's like, I don't know. Actually, you're not just sharing your opinion. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe that article said bad things. You know, so a lot of these guys that I know, they hate violence from Antifa. So a lot of guys will have, hospitalize your local Antifa because they're bad. And then a lot of these other guys that aren't really as militant that way will jump on that bandwagon and say other things like that. Dude, that has like legal implications, man. You can't just swallow that stuff up and repeat it like it's okay to do. I mean, freedom of speech is one thing, but you're threatening people's lives. You're talking about violence. You're talking about all kinds of stuff, man. Like, you got to think about the implications. You do. Because if you don't think about the implications now, man, that stuff's going to come around and bite you in the butt later. And especially from the veteran aspect, I mean, there's an element here in my podcast audience that are veterans that really give a crap about veterans' issues. And they know that what they do reflects either positively or negatively on the veterans' issues around them. And the veterans that see what they say and do versus the non-veterans that see and say what they do, all that stuff really matters. It has a humongous impact. How we say, what we say, to whom we say, where we say, all those things really matter. They impact people negatively or positively all the time. And so you're like, well, why does that matter? Well, if you're trying to get things changed, well, let's get some things changed, right? Let's actually change things. But we can't change things if we're just stuck repeating the same rhetoric. So we're talking about all sorts of different things. We've talked about the Florida school shooting. We've talked about the breakdown of VA benefits. We've talked about how veterans aren't getting the treatment they need. We've talked about all sorts of amazing things. And again, we're in this live broadcast, and Shane added, he said, if you tailor everything you say so that it won't offend people, you would never say anything of value, in my opinion. I completely agree with you. I completely 100% agree. Because you can't necessarily just pander to every person and group. But at the same time, Shane, you've got to be sensitive to a degree. It's like a trade-off, right? You've got, on one side, you've got sensitivity, and the other side, you've got the harsh reality, right? You have to give both at equal amounts, otherwise you're going to scald people with too much harsh truth, or on the other side, you're going to be too soft, and the truth isn't going to come through, and you're going to sound like a mamsy-pamsy. So we've been going for quite a while here. I'm pretty sure we've been going for a while here on this podcast, this wonderful, wonderful evening we're on here. I really appreciate everybody being able to add their thoughts here this evening and do all the good things and say all the good things that they've said this evening. Nick Evans 30 minutes ago added a screenshot from a buddy Brady Bell, excuse me. I'm going to add the quote. Brady, I'll tag you in the post here. Just 1 second. Brady said, I would say 90% of my feed is about gun control. This Second Amendment, gun control, Second Amendment, that. First off, I'm not a gun owner. I've shot a gun less than 5 times. Okay, I'm not going to read all of it. It's exceptionally long. But he goes on to talk all kinds of stuff. And one of the quotes here, I'm going to pull it out. He said, if I dated this statistic over the same, it would equate to 154,000 children lost during the same period. 140. It's pretty crazy. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting stuff, man. Very interesting stuff, Brady. If you're having a chance to listen to this later and you're seeing the tag there, Brady, I hope we can have a chat about this someday. Man, listen, you guys, this is important stuff, right? This content we're talking about, this isn't just playtime, and it is kind of funny, some of the stuff. We've covered some pretty interesting podcast discussions, a lot of different subjects. We talked about the Olympics. That was one that was pretty interesting because, a lot of people write it off and say it's just the Olympics. But it's like, some of these people are athletes, and it's interesting to see how these people can form their bodies to do good things. And then we talked about tragedy. We talked about the shootings in Florida. That was pretty terrible. That's atrocious. Listen, if you guys have a subject that you feel like would be interesting to add onto, I want to talk about it. I'd like to make a pretty killer graphic that would suck and put your name on it and say you use your idea. And then, put it up as a podcast. I'd like to do that. So one of the things we're looking at doing in the next couple of weeks is purchasing some recording material so that we can maybe hype up these podcasts and make them just a little bit better. We're still going to do the live podcasts. We're just maybe not going to do them as regularly as we've been doing them. So if you would like to be on the podcast, if you'd like to come and call in, one of the ways I think we're going to probably do it would be to have you call me on the cell phone, and then from there we do a live podcast on speaker. So that'll be the goal. That'll be the plan. Please visit BorisTheServiceDog.com to find out more about the local advocacy work that we do here in Omaha. And please visit VeteransForNaturalRights.com and find out more about the local national work that we're doing to help veterans gain access safely to legal, legitimate medicine, supplements, natural medicine, hiking, camaraderie, fellowship, all those things and more. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you following along. Please share this podcast with your veterans, friends, and family. Thank you so much.